Good morning. Welcome to Options Tender. It is Monday. It's going to be a shortened week. I'm going to get a lot of information out today that's going to be very important going into next week. So we'll make videos throughout this week. Can't guarantee anything on Friday, so I'll be possibly traveling to go to our Thanksgiving with my wife's family, but for sure on Thanksgiving Day I'll be putting a special video up, and we'll do very long-term things and where I think I'm going in the large scheme of things. So if you're new here, go down to that bottom right hand corner, hit that Options Tender logo. We have lots of good information, so hit the bell so you get those notifications when we do these videos often. Now if you can hit that like button, that's so important to this channel, getting more subscribers here. We hit 500. Super happy about that. Now we're going to look into I'm building a new office, so when I get that done, we're going to look at doing live videos throughout the day, probably in the opening bell, to kind of guide you on the setup for the day. All right. So today we're going to go through QQQ on the weekly, super important things that happen just today. I talked about them last week to give you what I was looking for, and it happened today. So then we'll go through SPY all the way down to the 65, the Qs all the way down to 65, and give you kind of a roundabout way of all the large tech on the daily time frame as well. So we have a lot of information. We're going to crunch in here. We're going to move a little bit quick. So hang on, and you can look back at these videos if you need to. So we have QQQ on the weekly time frame. Two things that are very, very important. One, we got a intraday high over this high here. That satisfies that this move at any time can be over and we can continue to the downside. Why? We talked about it many of times. This was a confirmed corrective move when wave 3 became the shortest. Wave 1 was longer than wave 3. When wave 5 became longer than wave 3, we knew that this was 100% a correction and that we had to make a new high. We just were not sure if we were going to make price action up here, make a higher low, and then continue higher. We didn't know that. And so price went just straight up and got this new high here. And that's fine. We got it satisfied. We got a check mark there. Now our big bear crash scenario is back on the table. So that's one important thing. Now, what kind of holds on to that point? We're just going to show you one. We'll do this one here. We're just going to show you one of the scenario or set of indicators that promotes this. And I already drew the line in here. After eking out a new high here, we're not getting a new high here. We're trying to make a new crossover on the histogram, but we'll see how the week ends up. Basically, we're right on it. We have negative divergence on the weekly time frame. That's huge. Negative divergence on the RSI, and we're already in oversold territory. Also, the slow stow we showed you last week was in the overbought. I said oversold, didn't I? Overbought here and overbought here. Now we'll be looking for a crossover to cycle back down. And for bullish people, yes, I'm going to give you the bullish scenario. Yeah, we can make a higher low. We do have a trend line that's probably going to hold out here. We'll draw it a little further, and maybe we get a higher low, and we continue to kind of oscillate up top, and we continue to make new highs here with a pullback. Even the bulls should be looking for a pullback at this point. It's been an extremely aggressive move. We have the 3 white soldiers on the weekly time frame. I did not think that would happen. I didn't think that was really possible. So to end this on the weekly time frame for the Qs, now on this pullback, on any pullback, we're going to be seeing, are we going to get a higher low? I don't think that's the case. I'm looking lower, much, much lower. But if we hold on to this, this isn't a trend line. This is a potential trend line. It only has 2 points. So this is just a rising pivot. We hold that pivot and start going higher. Then we start filling out this wedge more. Perhaps making brand new highs, all-time highs on the Qs. That's very possible. I don't think that's possible on SPY. For many reasons. The inverted yield curve, if you look at the equal weighted indices, they are not going to make new highs. There's so many things that point to this high being in. And the Qs can make a new high while SPX or SPY makes a lower high. That condition can happen. That's exactly what's happening on the lower time frame right now. So the Qs are above this high here. SPY is making a lower high. And I do believe we could tag this potential trend line. Again, that's a pivot. It can get above it. But if we tag this, we can make it a valid trend line. If we reverse off of it, that'll be a very good trend line. And then we try to find a higher low. Without that higher low, we continue much, much lower. Okay, because we are making a high, a lower high, and possibly another lower high. We get below this area here, and that pretty much confirms the bearish scenario. I know that's a long way down. The only other possibility at that point is that, you know, we're making some sort of move, and this is an ABC, and we get some another high, a lower low here, but we're just setting up a much more bullish scenario, and that's just not in the books. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. It's not in the books for me. Okay, so we're looking to make a lower high, and with these, you know, 3 white soldiers, and we're coming into the 4th positive week. This being a shortened Thanksgiving holiday week, possibly we just get a doji here. Maybe we grind just a little bit higher, and we get a doji. So I put on a couple trades today, reversal trades, but I didn't. They weren't like naked puts or inverse, you know, duration puts or anything like that. We did an in-out spread. If you're not familiar, I'll go ahead and post that at the end of the video, and I'll put tag a card up top. It's a reversal strategy that I like to do, especially when you think that premium is going to be burned. So we might burn some premium to this week, and then regular trading start to happen next week. All right, so we're scaling into those. They will be a double size position for me because it's such a conservative play, and it's highly successful. All right, with lower returns, clearly. Okay, so that's that. I'll show you why I have this pivot. You'll see it on the daily time frame. So let's go ahead and go down there. But it still will it'll satisfy a higher low if that pivot holds. So going on the daily time frame, same thing. We have this wedge, just like the Qs. And the Qs possibly can make new highs, filling out this wedge, making a higher low, holding on to this pivot, this potential trend line, and filling it out a little bit more will still, in my opinion, give us a lower high. We'll probably get to this chop zone from 463 to 472. Get around here, and we'll complete our move before heading lower. So yes, there is an alternative situation for me to where we fill out the wedge a little bit more. All right, we can go ahead and look at that situation with here's our Elliott wave count. This is our primary count now. We have an A or a 1, a B or a 2. Doesn't matter which one because we're going to do the same thing. And now we had our impulse 5-wave move leading diagonal for wave 1. An ABC that we believe is just about completed on the lower time frames. We were looking for a 5-wave move here. We had an impulse move here for, this is a zigzag, by the way, of 5, 3, 5. We already satisfied the wave 5. We thought that the market was done bouncing from there and that we would look for a higher low, blah, blah, blah. But we got a little consolidation. And then with the CPI, we have our impulse wave for another 5. And we couldn't quite count 5 here into Friday. And so that's why we thought we were going to kind of grind this week a little bit higher and possibly make some sort of reversal candle by the end of the week. Could a devastating move happen? Absolutely. And that's why we scaled into the type of trade that we did. Anything can happen. It's a light trading week, so we're ready for it. And so our potential wave 3 would be approximately in this 373 area. This would be a 1-2 setup heading down for wave 3. The Qs are a little bit different. The Qs would be starting from scratch, and they would be looking for wave 1 down because the wave B would be up here. Now, our alternative situation is we have actually 2. We have the expanded diagonal where we hold this pivot that I was talking about and we make all-time highs. I don't think that's the case. Expanding meaning we have our wave 1, 3-wave move up for 1, 3-wave move down for 2. 3 has to be longer than 1. 4 has to be longer than 2. And now 5 has to be longer than wave 3. And so it'd have to get above this 487 zone. Okay, hope that makes sense. But that's actually our third case scenario. Right in the middle would be our ending diagonal to fill out that wedge that I was talking about. So we already have our A, this 3-wave move. We think this 3-wave move no matter what. And now we have our B. And now we're looking for a 1, 2, and then the waves get smaller as we go. They start contracting for 3, smaller 4, 5. We eke out, waste time. It's the holiday season. And so perhaps with Christmas and January effect and all that stuff, we start grinding up and then we complete our wave B without making an all-time high. Perhaps Qs do, while this does not. And we head lower. So that would be satisfying another higher low. The 50% retracement on this would be very, very important because it's very typical for an ending diagonal to go back down to 50%. Can go lower. There's no rule. You just can't cross underneath the bottom of wave 1. But there's no rule. It says it can still go to that trend line and still do the same thing. All right, I'm not going to go through the same stuff on the Qs, but I will give you the traditional look. All right, so that's the same thing. We have that wedge. It's just it's got a higher grade. It's moving up higher. So if that's the case and we hold the trend line because it's steeper, then we're probably going to make all-time highs. Whether it's an ending diagonal or just a 5. I think this is a wave 5 because it satisfies making a new top here. So that would be the confusion. And I'm going to show you with big tech going through there that this is possible ending wave 5 or a brand new wave 1. And then we get a wave 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be that scenario. With this being an A, B, this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this move is over. It's correction and it's done. And we head to new lows. Let's throw on the VIX while we're on the daily. And then we'll go through the big tech stock. So this is, I got it on the 65 minute, but what this represents is that we had our wedge. We're breaking down from the wedge, and all we're going to do is back test and head much lower. That'd be very bullish for the market going into the end of the year, into the, like I said, the Christmas rally and January effect, if that does play out. Now, if we move this, just gives us a little bit different point of view from the daily time frame, and this is my primary scenario. We had this huge wedge. We're back testing that wedge, and we continue much higher. As we already broke out, we're back testing, and we continue to move up much higher than this 35 range that we've been through. And we go, I'm just going to say much higher. We'll continue to monitor that for the future. And let's go ahead with some of these big tech stocks. All right, we have Apple. Now, Apple broke out from this massive wedge, satisfied the premise that this is the top, and made a new bull flag. If you're a bull, you say, hey, this is set up for the bull. So we have this green zone. That's the 50-60% retracement that would back test the wedge. We'll be looking at Apple like a hawk. Okay? And what's probably going to happen is we back test this area. We don't just go straight down. This is probably going to give, for the bears, it's probably going to give us an impulse wave down for A. So we're going to look to see if this is a 5-wave move, and we're going to get a bounce no matter what. It's how hard that bounces. And if this is just a back test, then we're going to have a beautiful push to the upside. You know, possibly a wave 3 that just is relentless. Higher than this, much more relentless than this wave 1. And it should look like a 3-wave move. So Apple will be very, very important to monitor. And then Apple is very similar to stocks like Amazon, where you had a bull flag, broke out to new high, and now we'd look for a pullback, a higher low. We have a potential. This is a trend line here, so this is valid. We have 3 points, so that will be a good area to look at. With the volatility of Amazon, this really, this is a profit-taking area, but we'll be looking for the uptrend line to really hold. That breaks down, and that sends us a very bearish message. And now Meta. Meta gives us that information that we have our top in this, say, a 1 or A, and this a B or 2, and that we continue lower. That this gives us a message of that because of this ending diagonal, expanding diagonal that we have here is already satisfied. So even if you count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a couple of different ways you can count it, and then you have a correction, and then this is a 5-wave move up. That would be a zigzag. All right, so that satisfies as a correction. But on the bullish side, if you are considering this a leading diagonal rather than a ending diagonal, expanding diagonal, either one, then you're going to hold a higher low, and you're going to continue higher with an impulse, wave 3 to the upside. So right now, we're considering this an ending diagonal with a 1. 2, it's expanding. So you have wave 3 is bigger than wave 1. Wave 4 is bigger than wave 2. And wave 5 has already satisfied that condition to be larger than wave 3. So this has satisfied, the check marks are in everything. This should be ending. We should be looking for Meta to resume to the downside any time now, but we'll be looking for a higher low, the profit-taking area. 300 is a big area for Meta. So we start breaking underneath that. Yes, it can still bounce off the bottom trend line, but we'll be getting much more bearish underneath 300. and you can even trade off of it. So think about that. If it's just in a straight line, clearly you don't want to get bearish underneath here. You want to look for the bounce and see some sort of shallow bounce, see where it ends. But if we get a bounce beforehand, then I would sell into it, and the nail in the coffin should be the 300 zone. Okay, so Google, let me put on the daily. Trend is our friend. Google, I think, has already had its high. It's possible it goes a little higher, but we had our ending diagonal here, an impulse wave down, and we're just trying to retest, and we're grinding with the market, just holding up the back test of that bearish rising wedge. Microsoft just making new highs. It's the most bullish of them all at this point. Kind of holding the market. We're looking for a 5-wave move up here. Very, very choppy look. So I still think this could hold up the market just a little bit more and have a little bit more move. But this would satisfy when this is done that this is a 5-wave move to complete a top here, and would have to start a wave one down to fresh wave one, unlike most stocks where it's already made a high here and that this is a bounce. Yeah, it could be an expanding B or whatever, but that's either way, we're looking for a reversal. Okay, and as for Tesla's in a unique position to where it's been the weakest of all the big tech here, and so it still is in somewhat of a bull flag type formation. So Tesla will give us a really big clue on what's happening. The weekly indicators could go either way. They did have positive divergence on this low to low here. So Tesla could be an interesting one. If it gets really, really weak, we're going to watch for divergences. But really, we have a 3-wave move here that could complete. So if it starts getting bearish, we're looking at a 1-2-1-2 setup on the bear side. But really, if we start making higher lows and the other individual names, then really Tesla is going to be a huge, it has so much potential energy, massive, especially if it breaks out from this bull flag. So if it starts breaking out from this bull flag, I think Tesla could completely rip relentlessly to the upside and will probably pull the Qs to new all-time highs. And I just don't see any other situation. This is a 3-wave move. So if we start breaking out, especially above the 270 area, then this thing, I believe, will be up every single day for who knows. It could be up 15 days in a row, maybe a correction, but it's going to rip. Okay. If we're in the bear scenario, so this is a 1-2-1-2 setup for much lower, potential lower lows. Now, on NVIDIA, we have 2 ways you can look at it. Both are on here in the blue. So this channel here represents we broke out from a bull flag, and we're potentially going to pull back to it and move on higher. Now, NVIDIA has earnings on Tuesday evening after the bell, so this is pretty much out of the window. Whatever happens. We'll see on Wednesday. But looking for a pullback and higher, or we break down back from this channel, and this is actually just a sideways channel that it's oscillating through. This could be a top. Maybe it just ekes out a little bit higher on earnings and gives us all sorts of divergences, and we break down from there. But either way, we start to break down from this flag, get underneath it. That will be a potential flag fake break, and that will have tremendous bear consequences. So, and that's the truth for a lot of these that are breaking out. They're such bullish setups with bearish negative divergence that we break down from these setups, and the market is going to be extremely affected from those. So that gives us all of those big names. We'll be following those and tracking those. So don't forget to hit the notification button, because we will do more videos on those stocks each week. What else can we do? I just want to recap that the Q's already made its high. It satisfied that need. This now can be a fulfilled corrective move, and we will look for a lower price action to see if we get a higher low. Is this a 1-2 setup, or is this the end of the move and we continue our bearish crash to the downside? I think it's the crash, but I will be very well aware of the potential for this to head higher, and I will be taking profit into the back test of the flag breakout. You take profit there, put on some call protection, that sort of thing, to protect from it might be just a bounce. Looks like Boeing's making a move. So we will have a potential bounce here as well. So maybe this impulse wave 1, and that will leave us all hanging still, whether it's going to be bullish or bearish, because we'll be back testing, get a bounce. It will be a shallow bounce and much lower, or will this just continue higher? That will be the question. And then there will be other things that we're looking at. We'll be looking at the dollar in rates, the 10-year rates here. Those continue higher. It's been negative for the market, but there's going to be a point. So don't fall in love with this. There's been negative correlation for quite some time, with the dollar going up, market goes down. With rates going up, market goes down. There's going to be a time when rates are going to drop, and the market is going to drop with rates. That has not been the case for a while. Just keep that in mind. That's potential if there's a Fed pivot. But if the talk out there is if inflation continues higher and starts to rise pretty rapidly, then that will make the 10-year rise with it, with inflation, and that will be bad for the market. So I just watch the charts, but that's just stuff that people are interested in completely. So that's why I'm mentioning it. And I think that's it, you guys. I think that's all I want to show you. The bearish crash is on the table, and we will do another video probably tomorrow, just to see if we start to get reversal. If we don't get, if nothing changes, we're not going to do a whole nother video to bore you. When we'll do a video when necessary, just to update you if we see some sort of reaction or reversal potential. But we don't have it right now. We're breaking out from this flag. We moved higher. If this starts to reverse and we get some sort of doji, then I'll do another video, maybe even tonight, going into, or tomorrow morning. All right. Thanks for joining me. Sorry to rattle on. Don't forget to hit the like button, and there's a free Discord if you want to join there. Oh, yes, I did. I want to show you one last thing. Hopefully you're still on here. Economic data. We have the FOMC minutes tomorrow. That's the important part about that. We have sentiment survey that last week just went a little bit more bullish. So we're back from very bearish to very bullish, just like that. Fed tool. We have 100% that December FOMC that so far we're not going to get any, that we will not get any rate hikes. So that says 100% there. That's these every once in a while I'll show you these. This is all fundamental stuff, but we have a 0.2% that might change. So yeah, it looks like about 100% that nothing's going to change, which is, it's still part of the Fed pause. So we'll see how that goes. The market loves a Fed pause. It's the pivot that really is the crazy part. negative for the market. So we have the fear greed indicator from CNN. We're back into the greed area already just from that one move. So this is all fuel for the potential reversal that I was talking about. And also, I do have a Patreon if you're interested. I just started. I just wanted to start my trade alerts. I had 2 today that I put on put spreads. Very conservative moves. Those, and I'll show you. I'll constantly, not you. It's for the patrons. It's only $3 right now. So we'll do trade alerts. Trade alerts. There's going to be very conservative, and I want to keep track of how we're doing with our alerts, and then throughout time, I'll promote this a little bit more. But just looking forward to making some money for myself and people. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.